Okay. Before we move on to today's topic, which is day 7, I'll just do a quick recap, all right? A quick summary of whatever we've done so far. Day 1, we started off with the speaking module. We covered the speaking module parts 1, 2, and 3, and then started off with the reading module. On day 1 of the reading module, we understood the different techniques, which obviously will help you, read your passages faster, understand the important aspects of the passages, and pick up the answers based on the questions, all right, or locate the answers. So we learned 2 major techniques, skimming and scanning. The idea is to read the first line of every paragraph in a certain passage, understand it properly so you know the context, and then move on to the questions, read the instructions, look at the keywords in the question, and try and locate the answer in the passage based on the question and the after skimming and doing this activity. Yesterday, I added a small technique. I added on to the skimming technique where I said that after reading the first statement, it is important that you also mark some striking words or words which are prominent in the text. So it is easy for you to locate the answer once you look at the questions, and you will be able to locate the answers faster, right? So now on, whatever or whenever you solve any reading passage, you will have to obviously read the first line of every paragraph to understand the context. Other than that, you also mark the keywords in every passage or the striking words, important words in every passage, a paragraph, so that once you look at the question, you are able to locate the answer faster and you don't have to sit and read the entire paragraph, okay? But remember one thing, while you're doing all this, you need to be completely focused, because once you lose focus, or once you say, oh my God, I have to read, you really will not be able to go forward and pick up or locate the right answers, okay? So we covered a few question types. We finished sentence completion question type, short answer questions, summary completion, and multiple choice questions. These were some question types that are already over. We understood each and every question type in detail. We did a couple of activities as well. Today, I'm going to be doing a very interesting question type, okay? And let's look at it. Let's look at it and see the agenda for today. All right. Are you all ready? Yes. Great. If you have any doubts or questions, you can ask me. All right. Okay, let's start. Yes, we are going to focus on 3 question types, all that belong to one category. Match the following or matching, okay? So we're going to look at match the headings, matching information, and how to match sentence endings. These are the 3 subcategories of match the following question type that we're going to understand. We will solve a couple of examples and try and figure out the right information for the right paragraph, right heading for the specific paragraph, all right? So let's start with match the headings. In your IELTS examination reading module, you will get some passages which are numbered or which have a specific letter associated with it. So a big paragraph is divided into smaller paragraphs, and then you will get each paragraph has a letter or a number associated with it, like A, B, C, D, of that sort. Okay. And then you have a list of headings which are going to be given to you. You remember back in school, in probably your English or your moral science class, you would be given a story and you will have to write a heading, an appropriate heading for the story. This activity is very similar to that particular question type, okay? However, in IELTS, you will get a list of headings and you will have to match the correct heading to its appropriate paragraph, okay? One thing you need to remember is you will have more number of headings than the number of paragraphs. So let's say you have only 5 paragraphs in a passage. You may have either 7 or 8 headings. That's only to distract a candidate, to confuse a candidate. All right. However, every paragraph will have only one heading from that list. You can't make up any headings. You have to pick up headings from the list that is given to you. And once you pick up a heading, that cannot be used for any other paragraph. Is it clear? The information so far, is it clear? Please type a yes if you've understood what I said. Great. All right. Now, remember one thing. We have to do the skimming and skimming technique for sure. Okay, let's do an activity. So the first thing we must do is obviously read the first statement very, very, very clearly. And then look at some keywords in between or look at some prominent words. And then we will go ahead to understand what is the appropriate heading for this paragraph. All right. It says, despite its bad reputation, stress historically had a vital role to play. Okay, so here this paragraph is going to talk about stress and the vital role stress plays in our lives, even though it has a bad reputation. Okay, we have fight or flight mode, sudden release of stress hormones, causes heart to beat faster, airways to dilate, blood vessels to open up, push the body towards optimal performance and survival. In the rest of the animal kingdom, the difference between life and death. This is what the difference between life and death. As he springs off to freedom, the lucky gazelle who escapes the lion can thank its primal evolutionary response. So we've just gone through a couple of important words and I've understood the first statement clearly. So in the first, what is this paragraph telling us? It is telling us that even though stress is not good for anybody, it still plays a very important role. And then they're going on and they're describing the process as to why and how stress is important to us. Okay, that's what the paragraph is talking about. Clear with this? Yes. Okay, now what we should be doing is, so once you skim and go through the entire text, pick up the first paragraph, look at the headings, all right? And we will look at each and every heading. We will look at each and every heading properly. Effect of city on mental health. In this paragraph, they are not talking about effect of city on mental health, no, okay? Stress reduction in animals. They've given an example of animals and they've also told us that particular instinct for survival causes stress, but they are not talking about reduction of stress in animals. 2 types of stress. Here they've not spoken about any 2 types of stress. They're just talking about stress in general. The fallout of cell death. Nothing about cell death has been spoken. Happy to eliminate it. The best type of exercise. No, they're not talking about exercise at all. How stress can be useful. Now, this can be my answer, but I'm not going to be sure. I want to read the rest of the headings also. So what am I doing? After understanding that particular text, I'm going to the list of headings and eliminating whatever I don't need, removing any heading which I don't need, which is nowhere close to this particular paragraph. Okay, this is pretty much like your 50-50 option in KBC. All right, we're doing the elimination technique. Managing stress in job interviews, no. One reason behind bad tempers, they're not speaking about bad temper. Neuron loss in childhood, no. Regrowing the brain with exercise, no. So what is this paragraph talking about? It's clearly mentioned here in the first line. It says, despite its bad reputation, stress historically has a vital role to play. So how stress can be useful. And the rest of the paragraph is actually explaining how it can be useful. That is why our answer for this particular paragraph, or the heading for this particular paragraph, is option 6. Is it clear? Have you all understood? Yes, no, maybe. If you've understood, please type a yes in the chat. Great. Excellent. Very nice. But remember, and I'm going to keep reminding you that you have to read very, very carefully and understand what is given in the text and read the headings also properly. Okay. So now that option number 6 has been taken for this paragraph, for the next paragraph that we do, option number 6 is not going to be there at all. We don't have to look at option number, heading number 6. All right. Let's move on. Yes. Now, this one. Let's quickly go through this also. It says, in ordinary modern life, although we are in little danger of being stalked by wild beasts down city streets, our bodies react to stress in the same way. So in this paragraph, they're talking about how even in the past, or when human beings were evolving back then and now, animals and humans, even though we are in leading modern lives, stress causes our body to react the same way it used to cause human beings at that particular time during evolution. Whatever reactions humans used to do back then when wild animals used to stalk them, the same reactions we still have, we still do, or we still react to stress in the same way. Okay. It says normal part of life. Hold on, let me just use my spotlight. Yeah. Stress, normal part of life. Temporary, feeling anxious, stressed before an exam, job interview. Acute reactions are prolonged, cannot be switched off. In contrast, normal everyday stress, chronic stress. So they're talking about two different types of stress: normal everyday stress, and then they're talking about chronic stress. Okay, and they've given us an example of when people get stressed over here during an exam or before a job interview. All right. And what happens to the body? That's what they've explained here. And they've explained two types of stress. One is normal everyday stress and chronic stress. Okay. And this can interfere with daily living activities. So your chronic stress can actually come in the way and make you can trouble a human being. Okay. And it causes wreaking havoc. It causes a lot of havoc in people's lives and in their regular functioning of the body. So in this paragraph, what are they talking about? How stress back then and now is still the same, makes people react the same way. And then they're telling when people generally get stressed in the modern day situation. Okay. Then they're talking about two types or two kinds of stress. One is normal stress, and they're saying it's a regular thing that happens on a daily basis. Whereas chronic stress can be can cause a huge effect on a person's mind and body. All right. So now let's go through the list of headings and see which could be the most appropriate one here. Effect of city on mental health? No, they're not talking about any city affecting a person's mental health in terms of stress also. It's just they're comparing how it used to be earlier and how it is now in the first line. Okay, so this can't be our answer. Stress reduction on animals? No. Two types of stress. I did see normal everyday stress and chronic stress, so I'm just going to keep a mark. Fallout of cell death? No. Best type of exercise? No. This obviously no. Managing stress in job interviews? I saw an example, so I'm just going to keep that. One reason behind bad tempers, neuron loss, regrowing the brain with exercise. None of these. So now I have two options out of which I need to select the most appropriate one. So how do I select it? What is this entire paragraph talking about? It's talking about how stress can cause a lot of issues even in the modern day life, and what kind of stress are there in general. Okay, Job interview is just an example. They have not spoken primarily about people managing stress or getting stressed in a job interview. That's just an example. However, they are giving and speaking a lot about two kinds of stress, which is normal everyday stress and chronic stress, and they are explaining it to us, right? So because this paragraph does not revolve around, or the context is not about stress during job interviews, this cannot be my answer. And my answer is two types of stress, because that's what this passage is talking about mainly. So my answer, or the heading for this paragraph, is option 3. Is it clear? Yes, no, maybe. Any doubts, any questions, you can put it in the chat. Okay. I'm just waiting for as many people to answer so I can give you an activity to do, all right? Great. Everybody, Nidin, Stency, Anila, Vinita, is it clear? Great. Now let's do a small activity, all right? Now this is your paragraph. I'm going to give you just 2 minutes. Look at the keywords of the passage, main idea, the first statement clearly, and send in the chat. I mean, send me the right heading in the chat. All right, if you've read it, you can share your answers in the chat. Or you need a minute, I can give you another minute or 2. The others, come on. Excellent. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, I know everybody is sending the answer, sending the answers. I am going to ask somebody to explain to me why they've marked this particular answer, okay? So anybody would like to volunteer, or I'm going to pick somebody? Please raise your hand if you would like to answer. All right, Dr. Leenu. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
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 So somewhere, I think it is in the 6th or 7th line, they have said neurons in this area do not just get smaller, but actually die, which weakens the neural connection. So here they're saying something about death. So I think from the options, which is very close, is fallout of cell death.
Okay.
So
Okay, good. That's a good explanation. Very nice. And overall, also the passage is talking something about the same in line with the heading. I agree. But why not? Why not option 9, Dr. Linu?
Like they have not told about any childhood, related things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Perfect. The answer is option 4 because they are talking about how neurons in the brain dies if people take excessive stress. However, they are not talking about anything related to childhood. So in general, when people take excessive stress, they are talking about the cells or the neurons dying, which is why the answer or the heading for this particular paragraph is option 4. Is it clear? Whoever has sent the answer in the chat, I hope you've understood and that's how you've sent it across. Okay, great. Now what I'm going to do is, as usual, I will put you in the breakout rooms and I would want you to solve a short text, find the appropriate heading. I'll give you 5 to 7 minutes for this activity. Finish it, we'll discuss and move on to the next question time. All right? And again, I will be sending the paragraph or the passage to you in the group itself. Great. All of you get into your breakout rooms. I will be sharing the passage with you in the group, in the WhatsApp group. All right. Let's wait for the others also to come back from the breakout rooms. Okay. All right. So I hope this was an easy activity. What I would want you guys to do is somebody volunteer and tell me the heading of paragraph B. Please raise your hand so I know and I can let you answer. And with that, I would also want you to give me explanation, all right? Okay, Aparna, please unmute.
Hi.
Hi.
So for paragraph D, I selected option 8.
8, okay. And did you all discuss, everybody in your group?
Yeah, it was just me and Anila.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
yeah.
Yes, please.
So why I selected 8 was because there were like few points in the paragraph which mentioned that it can impact mood and behavior. And the last one also says if you can be able to tolerate a screaming child and instead giving it to the desire to scream back. So I thought that might be one of the point for selecting it.
Okay, perfect. So here it does talk about processing emotions, aggression, and decision making, mood and behavior. All right, so it is talking about that. And towards the end, you're absolutely right. And you have something called as reactive and short fused, and then the last line talks about one of the reasons why people have really bad temper. Okay, so your answer is absolutely right. Good job. Now, somebody else, who hasn't really answered today. Okay, Nidhin, please unmute and give me the answer that you and your group members discussed for paragraph E. Okay, I'm going to ask somebody else to do it. Prashanti, please unmute.
Ma'am, I'll go with number 9.
Number 9. Okay, our heading for paragraph E is 9.
Yeah,
okay.
ma'am.
Okay. And why?
Here it's talking about stem cells with the brain actually to create neurons.
Okay.
Lost neurons replaced, and straightforward and replacing neurons.
Okay. Now, all right, good job. Thank you for attempting. However, I'm going to explain this to you, okay? Please mute yourself, Prashanti. Thank you. Over here in paragraph E, let's see what all information we've got, okay? In the past, it was accepted that there was a limited number of neurons in the brain, and as they died off as a result of aging, stress, or substance abuse, for instance, they were lost forever. It turns out this is not the case. Stem cells able to create new neurons. Lost neurons can be replaced. Okay, replenishing neurons. Powerful stimulant is physical activity. So what else does it say? Stimulate and release endorphins. Exercise has now been shown to contribute to the repair of chronically stressed brain. So is this our answer? Is this paragraph talking about loss of neurons in childhood? No, it is not talking about loss of neurons at all. In fact, it is telling us that even due to stress or whatever reasons, the neurons in the brain die. With physical exercise, you will be able to, get them back, okay, replenish them. So the answer, there are two kinds, two options which you may sort of think of. One is option 5 and the other one is option 10. However, the heading for option 5 heading says the best type of exercise. Here, they're not majorly talking about the type of exercise. However, they're talking about regrowing brain with exercise. Hence, the answer is option 10. Is it clear, everybody? Prashanti, is it clear? Please type in the chat if you've understood. Any doubts, any questions in match the headings? Because now we are going to move on to another question type. All right, let's move on. Okay, and if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask me in the chat. I will answer that for you. Now, let's move on to matching information. Okay, it says matching information is basically, again, you have a text passage which is either numbered or has some letters associated with it, A to G, A to E. All right, you have to obviously skim and scan through the skim through the text and mark the striking words in the paragraphs, after which you go to the question. The questions that you get or the statements that you get are not words, they're not headings, but they are some portion of information from these paragraphs. Okay, so what do you have to do? You have to read through the text or skim through the text, see which information is picked up or which paragraph is talking about this particular information. Okay, so if you look at it, you have a paragraph here, and then you have a list of statements. These statements are nothing but some information from the paragraphs, A to G or A to F, whatever. So we need to look at every information and see which paragraph talks about this particular information. Are you getting my point? Yes, no, maybe. Please type in the chat and let me know. Okay. Now, if you've understood, let's start and go through the text. All right. So the first statement says, the town of Chamonix Mont Blanc sits in a valley at 1,035 meters above sea level in the Haute-Savoie department in southeastern France. So what are they talking about? They're talking about this town called Chamonix Mont Blanc and where it is located. Okay, northwest, red peaks, southeast, permanently white peaks of Mont Blanc. And Mont Blanc is at 4,810 meters, highest mountains in the Alps, typical alpine environment under increasing strain from hustle bustle of human activity. So this paragraph is telling us that there's a town called Chamonix Mont Blanc. Where is it located? It is located at in a valley about 1,035 meters above sea level in southeastern France. To its northwest, there are some red peaks, some mountains. To the southeast, you have Mont Blanc. Okay, and then they're telling this particular Chamonix Mont Blanc town is under a risk of too many people coming in and out, too many people in that particular town. All right. Now, let us look at each and every information. What does the what does the question or instruction say? Which paragraph contains the following information? You may use any letter more than once. I will explain this to you a little later. A list of type of people who enjoy going to Chamonix. In this paragraph, they are not talking about what kind of people like going to Chamonix. So this is not the, paragraph A does not contain this information. Okay, or rather this information is not present in paragraph A. Reference to a system that is changing the way visitors reach Chamonix? No. Geographical location of Chamonix could be, let's just read further. Mention of the need to control large tourist population in Chamonix? No. Reference to a national environment target? No. They are majorly talking about what? Question number 3 or information 3 is present in paragraph A, because paragraph A talks about where Chamonix Mont Blanc town is located. Clear? Any doubts, any questions in this particular question type? Very simple, easy to understand, easy to solve. Any doubts? If no queries, just write no in the chat. Okay. All right, great. If you have any doubts anytime, please feel free to ask in the chat, okay? Okay, now let's move on. Okay. Yes, I want you to go through both these paragraphs, look at this particular list and see which information is present in which paragraph. Again, remember one more thing that I want to tell you. This is not like match the headings where for each and every paragraph you find a heading. No, it is totally dependent on the question. So let's say there are 7 paragraphs in a passage. You may just have 5 information statements. You will have to figure out where, which paragraph contains this particular information. So it does not mean both B and C is present in this list of information. So understand, read both these paragraphs, see the list of information and pick up that particular paragraph with which the information given matches. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Post the answer in the chat once you're ready with it. I'll give you about 2 to 3 more minutes. Okay. Please remember, it is not necessary that for every paragraph there is some information given in this particular right-hand side column. It is not necessary. just because we have got 2 paragraphs here and 5 information statements. Again, I'm repeating, it does not mean that each and every paragraph has some information associated with it. I will discuss Aparna in a bit. All right, everybody, please send in your answers. Okay, let's go through, okay? All right, again, I'm just telling you guys, just because we have some information given here, or rather, not every paragraph will have some information associated with it, okay? All right, let's just go through paragraph B. See if there's any information statement for paragraph B, then go to paragraph C and do the same thing, all right? Tourism is Chamonix's lifeblood. So it's talking about tourism, and they're talking about some information related to tourism and how it actually is very important to Chamonix. Visitors encouraged to visit Valley ever since it was discovered by explorers, okay? Over 40 years later, summit reached by a French doctor and his guide, okay? 1924, hosted first Winter Olympics, and the cable cars and lifts that were built in the years that followed gave everyone access to ski slopes, all right? So in this paragraph, it's talking about tourism and how has tourism thrived and how was Chamonix found, who all are, or, visit Chamonix. That's what they're talking about here, or rather who sort of discovered Chamonix has been told here. In paragraph C, today Chamonix is a modern town connected to the outside world via Mont Blanc Road Tunnel and a busy highway network. So it's talking about how the modern world and Chamonix are connected now. Modern, outside world and Chamonix is connected now. 60,000 visitors at a time during ski season, climbers, hikers, extreme sports enthusiasts, greater number, town's population up to 1 lakh. Last year, they're talking about the previous year, 5.2 million visitors, all right? And there are only 10,000 permanent inhabitants. So localites are only 10,000, but everybody else who is in that town, most of them, rather maximum number of them are tourists, all right? So the first paragraph says a list of type of people who enjoy going to Chamonix. Now, is there anything given about type of people who enjoy going to Chamonix? In paragraph B, they basically spoke about how Chamonix was discovered and who discovered it and what happened after that. In paragraph C, they are mainly talking about the kind of people who visit. Okay, for example, it says 60,000 visitors during ski season, climbers, hikers, extreme sports enthusiasts, and then it's talking about how there are lots of tourists. So let's still go through the rest of it. A reference system to reference to a system that is changing the way visitors reach Chamonix. Nowhere we've found that particular information about how visitors how the system is changing based on the visitors, or how the system is changing. No, they're not speaking about that anywhere. Mention of the need to control the large tourist population. Nowhere they've spoken about controlling tourist population. They've just said there's an influx. Reference to national environment target. Again, I didn't see anything related to national environment target as such, except that they've said that it's people are usually frequented during ski season and what kind of people usually frequent it. And where is the list of type of people who enjoy going to Chamonix present? In paragraph C. In paragraph B, they're just telling us how this was discovered. So the answer for question 1 here is C. Is it clear? Everybody? Stency, Prashanti, Aparna, Dr. Leenu, Jeshma, Divya Teja, yes. So we saw both the paragraphs, and after reading the rest of the information statement, we've understood the kind of people who enjoy going to Chamonix is present in C. In paragraph B, they're telling us, how did it all start? How did tourism start? All right, clear? Which is nowhere mentioned in the information statement. So B really does not have any specific information statement associated with it in the questions. All right, clear? Yes, Aparna, you have a doubt? Hold on. Yes.
So there can be 7 paragraphs, but only 5 of them which will match with the questions. The other 2, we just have to read.
Yes.
It's nowhere in the question. Okay.
Yes. So matching the information is something like that.
Okay.
Okay, it's not like match the headings. Not necessary that every paragraph will have an information statement associated with it in the questions. Again, probably there are. Okay, probably you have 7 paragraphs and 7 information statements, or 7 paragraphs and just 5 information statements. All right. Now, is it clear, Aparna?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, let me help you understand what this particular statement means. You may use any letter more than once. Remember, each information statement is associated only with one paragraph, which means this is B, this is C, and question number 3 is A, the answer. I cannot have 2 options for one question. However, there is a possibility that C can be repeated somewhere else, or A can be repeated somewhere else. Okay, so if C is already being used, if this instruction is given, there is a possibility that the same letter, or there's an information related to that specific paragraph, and you end up writing the same letter again for another information statement. Okay, each information statement is associated just with one paragraph, but there is a possibility. So I can't have C and B in one particular answer. No. But there is a possibility that C is repeated for another information statement. Is it clear? And you will do that. You have to check that only if this instruction is given. Otherwise, you don't really have to bother. Is it clear, everyone? Any doubts, any questions? Okay. Okay. Now, let's move on to the next question type, match sentence endings. All right. Now, I will be giving you some home assignment for matching information. So you will be practicing this as a home assignment. Now we'll move on to match sentence endings. All right. So match sentence heading is also very similar to matching information. Only thing is you have a passage, obviously you have to skim through it, mark the keywords, all the regular activity you keep doing. In the question, you will have some statements which are unfinished, and you will be given a list of statement endings based on that particular question. And understanding where it is present, you'll have to select the appropriate sentence endings. All right. Remember, you will have in this particular question type, generally, you will have more number of sentence endings than the number of questions. Okay. Is it clear? Yes, no, maybe. Put it in the chat. Okay. Okay, Aparna, I'll repeat this for you. So you have a text or passage, okay? And then this particular question has one part of the sentence. You will have to find out what is the other part of the sentence by reading the text, skimming through the text, obviously, and going through the list of options and picking up the right option. This list, which is given here, is nothing but a sentence ending of this particular unfinished statement. All right. Now, you may have only 5 questions, but more number of options. This happens for match sentence ending question type. You generally have more number of options than the list of questions. Is it clear now, Aparna? Can you please type in the chat and let me know? Okay, great. So let's do one thing. Let's quickly run through this particular paragraph and look at question number 1. Okay. It says a compound found in strawberries and other fruit may help prevent cognitive decline, new research shows. So this paragraph is talking about strawberries and how it will help in preventing memory loss or cognitive decline. It says Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases associated with aging. The findings may help prevent Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases associated with aging. Then they are talking about found that treating aging mouse models with fistin, compound found in strawberries, help reduce brain inflammation and cognitive decline. All right. And let's move on. Companies have put fistin into various health products. Hasn't been enough serious testing of this particular compound. Fistin might be helpful as a preventive for many age-associated neurodegenerative diseases, not just Alzheimer's. And we'd like to do more study. So here, what are they telling us? That strawberries contain a certain compound called fistin, which helps in reducing or preventing age-related diseases, age-related neurodegenerative diseases, which means probably loss of memory or something like that. So now let us look at the first question, the first sentence, unfinished sentence. It says, strawberries may help too. Let's go through the options. To be over the age of 60 by the year 2050, no. May it be described as a new superfood? No, they're not telling us anything related to superfood. Reduce swelling of an organ? No, they're not telling us that strawberries specifically will reduce swelling of an organ, but it contains a compound. An increasing problem around the world? No. Being studied for over 10 years? No. More testing should be carried out to find out the benefits of fistin? No. Predicted burden on health services in future? No. Cure diseases suffered by elderly? Possible. I'm going to keep this right here. Controlled testing of fistin on people? No. Highly toxic? No. What does this paragraph tell us? It tells us a compound found in strawberries and other fruit may help prevent cognitive decline. And then they're talking about how it prevents neurodegenerative diseases associated with aging. And that's what they're talking about throughout. So what does strawberry help in? Or strawberries may help to cure diseases suffered by elderly. All right, because it's age-related diseases they're talking about. So our answer would be option. Our appropriate sentence ending for the unfinished statement, which is strawberries may help to, is option H. Is it clear? Everybody? Yes, no, maybe? Again, you're saying, Aparna, you said F can also be an option. Now, more testing should be carried out to find benefits of fistin. The question is, strawberries may help too. More testing should be carried out. First of all, grammatically also, it doesn't fit correctly. Secondly, it does not connect. Strawberries may help too, and how more testing? Are they telling us that in the paragraph? Aparna, did you understand why paragraph ending F cannot be the answer. Okay. Now let's move on and I'll make you do an activity. All right. This is following, this is the text. Okay. I don't want you to do this because we've already completed this. H is the answer. Do the second one. Okay. You can also eliminate the options based on the kind of grammar also, all right? Once you find the answer, just put it in the chat. One more minute. So I've got two answers here. One is C and one is F. Okay. 1 minute. Okay. Now, let us look at the unfinished sentence. Remember one thing, just because you have to match over here, match the sentence with an ending, it does not mean you match randomly. You also need to check whether it fits in grammatically and whether it is the most appropriate option based on the text. All right. So it says in non-human test, fisting was shown. More testing should be carried out to find out benefits of fisting. Does that even match? And they're talking about non-human test. Non-human test. How does that match? Even if it is talking about more, rigorous study has to be done, it is asking you when tested on maybe some other being, what happened? How did fisting react, or what was seen? And it clearly says over here, researchers at the SAC Institute for Biological Studies found that treating aging mouse models with fisting, a compound found in strawberries, helped reduce brain inflammation and cognitive decline. So when I go through the rest of the sentences, I understand brain inflammation or reduced brain inflammation is nothing but reduced swelling of brain or reduced swelling of an organ. I understand this paragraph is telling you one sentence that more research needs to be done on fisting, but the paragraph is not entirely talking about more research needs to be done on fisting. It is talking about a lot more things. Don't get stuck to just one aspect. And this is a sentence ending. So even when you're marking the answer, you have to ensure that the sentence fits in correctly, right? It can't be two random sentences put together because it's going to be grammatically incorrect also. Are you getting my point here? Everybody? It is not just random match the information. It is not just that. Okay, is it clear, everybody? Yes. Any doubts, any questions? Just the last probably 2 to 3 minutes. If you have any queries, you can put it in the chat. You can write, ask me in the chat, or we can do a quick recap and close the session for today. I will be giving you a home assignment for match sentence endings also. Any doubts? If all clear, you can just say no queries. Okay, let me do a quick recap of whatever we did today, whatever we learned today. Okay, first of all, we started with match the headings. What happens in match the headings? You have a passage. Each paragraph is segregated very clearly, and then you have a list of headings. You will have to see or pick up the right heading for every paragraph. You will always have more number of headings than the number of paragraphs, just as a distractor. Each paragraph has only got one heading, and that will not get repeated for any other paragraph. All right. How do we do this? We need to understand what exactly is that particular paragraph talking about, and then pick the appropriate heading. Second, we did matching information. In matching information also, you will have a list of paragraphs, a passage which is segregated very clearly, distinctly, and some information statements. You will have to skim through and understand the context of every paragraph. Look at, does anybody have a question? Yeah. Nidhin, please mute yourself. Do you have any question, Nidhin? Yes. So you have a list of paragraphs. Okay. Each is segregated. And then you have a list of information statements. The information statements may not necessarily be more or as many as the number of paragraphs. Okay. You may have less number of information statements. You have to read, understand the context of every paragraph. Look at each and every information statement and see which paragraph contains that particular information and accordingly match it. If they give you the instruction, no, you can use, any letter more than once, then there is a possibility that probably, not always, probably there is another statement which is, which has information of a paragraph that you've already selected for some other information statement. And then you have something called as match sentence endings. Again, you have a text, a list of unfinished sentences, and some options with endings of those sentences. So what do you have to do? You have to read the text, understand the text, look at these unfinished statements, and match it with the appropriate sentence endings. Make sure don't just match them randomly. See where the information lies, pick up that specific piece of information from the text, and ensure that whatever ending you've picked up is grammatically correct also. All right. This is what we did today, a very, very important topic, matching or match the following. I will be giving you some home assignment. Please practice that. And tomorrow we will do another question type. All right. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to close the class. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this IELTS Masterclass program and attending also regularly. Thank you. Have a great evening, guys. Bye.